He moved next door to hide from the press. The single mom thought he was just bad at laundry. The first time Emma Rivera met the man hiding from every headline in America, he was standing barefoot in the basement laundry room, holding a pink shirt that used to be white. At 10:30 on a Tuesday night, Emma had exactly enough energy left to wash clothes and complain about life internally. Lucas was finally asleep upstairs. The library had been chaos all day. One of the dryers in the building had been making a sound suspiciously similar to a dying goat for 3 weeks. And now she was carrying a laundry basket down 2 flights of stairs while balancing a bag of quarters and a travel mug filled with coffee that had given up trying to be warm. The moment she opened the laundry room door, she stopped. Foam everywhere. Foam crawling toward the drain. Foam climbing one washing machine like it was attempting escape. And in the middle of the disaster stood a tall man in a wrinkled, expensive sweater, barefoot, staring at the machine as if it had personally betrayed him. In one hand he held a dress shirt. A very pink dress shirt. Emma looked at the shirt. Then at the bubbles. Then at the man. Her immediate conclusion was simple. This guy had either just gotten divorced or had been raised entirely by hotels. The stranger noticed her. The machine reacted irrationally, he said. Emma blinked. The machine? Yes. It didn't react irrationally. It appears to be leaking. It's not leaking. She pointed to the giant bottle of detergent sitting beside him. Half empty. His expression changed. Slightly. Emma recognized the look immediately. The look of a person realizing they might be the problem. The machine doesn't have emotions, she said. But it does have limits, same as the women in this building. The man glanced at the detergent bottle. Then, back at the washing machine. Then back at the detergent bottle. You mean I used too much? Emma crouched beside the machine. How much did you put in? He hesitated. That was never a good sign. Define how much. Emma closed her eyes. Oh no. I assumed more detergent would create cleaner clothes. That's not how soap works. It isn't? She stared at him. No. He looked genuinely surprised, which somehow made everything worse. 10 minutes later, they were kneeling on the floor together, throwing towels at a growing invasion of bubbles. The stranger listened carefully while Emma explained detergent measurements with the patience usually reserved for small children and confused grandparents. At one point, he pointed toward the machine settings. What does delicate cycle mean? Emma looked up. It means you've ruined something expensive, slower. For the first time, she thought she saw the corner of his mouth twitch. By the time the disaster was under control, the floor was mostly visible again. The pink shirt, however, remained beyond salvation. The man held it up. It was white. It was. I liked it white. Emma shrugged. The shirt disagreed. He actually laughed. A real laugh. Unexpectedly warm. The sound seemed strange, coming from someone who looked like he belonged in boardrooms instead of laundry rooms. He reached into his wallet. Let me pay you for helping. Emma immediately shook her head. Absolutely not. You spent 30 minutes cleaning my mistake. You need that money more than I do. His eyebrow lifted. Emma pointed at the detergent bottle. Buy the correct soap. Then she nodded toward the machine. And stop attacking appliances like you're trying to acquire them. The laugh came back. Stronger this time. Over the next week, she kept running into him. He lived in apartment 4B. Emma lived in 4A. Brooklyn apartment buildings had their own version of small-town gossip, but nobody seemed to know much about the new guy. Which was fine. People in Brooklyn usually had reasons they didn't want questions. Emma noticed things anyway. He missed trash collection day twice. He couldn't figure out the stubborn mailbox downstairs. He ordered groceries that made no sense. Premium olive oil. Imported sparkling water. Organic sea salt. No paper towels. No toilet paper. No common sense. One evening she watched him stand in front of the recycling bins looking like he was taking an exam. Definitely raised by hotels, she decided. Then one night, while Emma was folding laundry downstairs, Lucas wandered sleepily into the basement carrying a half-finished robot. His hair stuck up in 6 directions. His pajamas featured dinosaurs wearing sunglasses. He stopped when he saw Nathan. The man was trying and failing to fold a fitted sheet. Lucas studied him seriously. "Are you a laundry criminal?" Nathan froze. Emma covered her mouth. The boy pointed toward the pink shirt hanging nearby. "I saw the evidence." For a second, Nathan looked confused. Then he laughed. Not politely. Not carefully. A genuine laugh that echoed through the laundry room. It was the first real smile Emma had seen on him. And for just a moment, whatever weight he carried seemed lighter. The next morning, everything changed. Emma was drinking coffee before work while scrolling through the news. A headline caught her attention. Coalbridge CEO Nathan Cole, still missing from public view after data scandal. The photograph underneath made her stomach drop. She looked again. And again. Same eyes. Same face. Same man who had nearly drowned a washing machine. Nathan Cole. One of the most recognizable CEOs in the country. The man every news channel seemed to be talking about. Emma sat upright. Suddenly all the strange pieces fit together. The expensive clothes. The awkwardness. The way he seemed desperate not to be noticed. The reason nobody knew why he was there. That evening she found him in the hallway outside apartment 4B. Nathan knew immediately from her expression. "You saw the article." It wasn't a question. Emma crossed her arms. "You could have mentioned it. I wasn't hiding who I was. You weren't telling anyone either." Nathan looked tired. Not guilty. Just tired. "I came here because I wanted some quiet." Emma's voice hardened. "Your quiet doesn't get to become my problem." His gaze shifted briefly toward apartment 4A. Toward Lucas. And for the first time, Nathan seemed to understand exactly what she meant. This wasn't about gossip. Or celebrity. Or scandal. A man being chased by reporters now lived 10 feet away from her son. That changed things. "I didn't come here to deceive anyone," he said quietly. Emma held his eyes. "Maybe not." Then she pointed toward the stairwell. "But if reporters show up here, if any of this touches Lucas, I will personally drag you back into every headline you're trying to escape." Nathan nodded immediately. No argument. No defensiveness. Just acceptance. "That's fair." Emma studied him for another moment before walking away. Behind her, Nathan remained standing alone in the hallway. For weeks he had thought this apartment was a place to disappear. But as he listened to a child laughing somewhere upstairs and a television playing through thin walls, he realized something important. This building wasn't full of people hiding from the world. It was full of people trying to protect the small worlds they had built. And for the first time since the scandal began, Nathan understood those two things were not the same. After the hallway conversation, Nathan Cole became aggressively normal. At least, he tried. On Monday, he took the trash out on the correct day. On Tuesday, he bought detergent that did not require emergency intervention. On Wednesday, Emma found him in the basement laundry room, reading the washing machine instructions like they were a legally binding contract. "You know," she said, setting down her basket, "most people just press start." Nathan didn't look up. "Most people have not committed laundry crimes." "Growth," Emma said. He was trying. That much was obvious. But trying did not mean succeeding. He still placed cardboard in the wrong recycling bin. He still ordered too much takeout and looked confused when the delivery guy asked for a gate code. And his grocery deliveries were a study in wealthy incompetence. Glass bottles of mineral water, imported olive oil, expensive coffee beans, and 3 kinds of sea salt. No toilet paper. No eggs. Emma found him one afternoon standing beside 6 grocery bags, staring into them with concern. "Planning to survive on olive oil and shame?" she asked. Nathan looked up. I forgot some basics. Some? I have salt. Great. Your media crisis may outlast a man who doesn't own toilet paper. That almost made him smile. Lucas liked him immediately, which annoyed Emma because Lucas had terrible judgment when it came to wounded things. Stray cats, cracked robots, men with sad eyes, her son wanted to fix them all. Nathan earned his place in Lucas's universe by repairing the boy's small robot, a plastic creation with one blinking eye and a wheel that had stopped turning. Nathan sat cross-legged on the floor outside 4A with a tiny screwdriver in hand, completely focused. You know robots? Lucas asked. A little. Because you're rich? Because I studied engineering. Lucas considered this. But mostly because you're rich? Emma choked on her coffee. Nathan's mouth twitched. Maybe both. From then on, Lucas called him Laundry Guy, even after learning his actual name. One rainy evening, Emma came home late from the community library, soaked through her jacket and carrying the kind of exhaustion that sat behind the eyes. The city had announced another possible funding cut. Parents had stayed after the meeting, scared and angry, asking questions Emma didn't have the authority to answer. Lucas was hungry. The fridge was nearly empty. Emma stood in the kitchen, staring at half a carton of eggs, one apple, and instant noodles like they were contestants on a survival show. Then Nathan knocked. He had ordered dinner, apparently to be useful, but the delivery app sent his food to Queens and delivered someone else's bag instead. 2 iced teas, a single container of coleslaw, and something labeled extra liver. Lucas looked inside and whispered, "This is a crime scene." So dinner became instant noodles, fried eggs, sliced apples, and the coleslaw nobody admitted was actually good. Nathan sat at Emma's small kitchen table as if he had been invited into something more important than any private dining room in Manhattan. He did not make a face at the chipped plates. He did not offer money when he saw the bills clipped to the fridge beside Lucas's school calendar. Emma noticed that. She noticed even more when his eyes lingered on a drawing taped near the freezer. A stick figure Emma stood under a yellow sun, holding a book in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. Above her, Lucas had written, "Mom is tired but still wins." Nathan read it quietly, then looked away before Emma could feel exposed. After dinner, he washed the dishes. Badly. There were bubbles everywhere again, though less dramatically than the laundry incident. Lucas watched from the doorway with professional suspicion. "Better than laundry," he said. "Still suspicious." Nathan accepted the review with dignity. Later, Lucas fell asleep, curled on the couch, robot tucked against his chest. Rain tapped against the window. The apartment settled into the soft quiet that came after a long day survived. Emma and Nathan sat at the kitchen table. She told him about the library, not the polished version donors heard, but the real one. Children came after school because parents worked late shifts. Some came because it was warm. Some came because the library was the only place where an adult remembered what book they liked. Nathan listened, and with every word, something tightened inside him. Community programs, student engagement, family support data. Coleridge had built tools around those exact phrases. On slides, they had sounded harmless, helpful, innovative. But here, in Emma's kitchen, those words had faces. Lucas asleep on the couch. Bills on the fridge. A mother too tired to sit down until everyone else was fed. Emma did not know how close his company had come to her world. Not yet. Lucas woke briefly before midnight, blinking at Nathan through sleep-heavy eyes. "Laundry guy?" "Yes?" "If you're hiding," Lucas asked, "does that mean you did something bad, or someone hurt you?" The room went still. Nathan looked at the boy, then at Emma. He could have given a gentle lie. Adults were good at those. Instead, he said, "Sometimes grown-ups call something a mistake because they're not brave enough to call it responsibility." Lucas frowned, processing. "That sounds like school trouble." Nathan nodded. "A little." Emma said nothing, but she looked at him differently after that. The phone call came an hour later. Priya's voice was sharp and controlled. A reporter had narrowed his location to Brooklyn. Maybe the building, maybe not. He needed to move. Immediately. No more contact with neighbors. No more risks. Nathan looked through the open doorway into Emma's apartment. At Lucas asleep again. At the small world his presence could damage. So he packed. Quietly. Near 2 a.m, he carried his suitcase toward the stairs. Emma caught him on the landing. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she looked at the suitcase. "You were leaving. I thought it was safer." For who? The question hit harder than anger. Nathan had no answer good enough. Emma's face was pale with exhaustion and hurt. "Lucas has had enough men leave without explaining. I didn't want to bring trouble to your door." "You already did," she said. "The difference is whether you tell the truth before someone else has to guess it." Nathan stood on the stairs, one hand still on the suitcase handle. For once, he did not retreat into CEO language. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't know how to stay without causing harm." Emma's voice softened, but only a little. "Start by not disappearing." So he stayed. The next morning, Nathan texted Priya that he would not use silence as protection if it left other people unprepared. Emma did not forgive him completely. But when she took out the trash before work, she let him carry the heavier bag downstairs. It was not romance. Not yet. It was smaller than that. But in Emma's life, a man who came back to do a small thing often meant more than a man who promised a big one. For a few weeks, Nathan almost became part of the building. Not fully. Buildings like Emma's did not accept people quickly. They tested them first. But he learned. He helped Diane Mercer fix the mail shelf in the lobby after it collapsed under 3 catalogs, 2 electric bills, and 1 passive-aggressive note about recycling. He learned that washing machines did not require supervision like unstable executives. He helped Lucas build a small robot out of spare wires, bottle caps, and ambition. Lucas named it Laundry Defender and insisted it was designed to protect innocent shirts from people with too much detergent. Nathan accepted the insult with grace. Emma tried not to enjoy him. That was becoming difficult. They ran into each other at the corner grocery, where Nathan was holding 2 brands of peanut butter and looking morally conflicted. They sat on the front steps during a short power outage while Diane passed out battery candles and complained that modern people were weak because nobody owned matches anymore. They shared cheap deli coffee one morning after Emma's early shift at the library and Nathan's sleepless night of not checking the news. It was not dating. Emma told herself that often. It was neighbors. Neighbors who knew each other's coffee orders. Neighbors whose hands sometimes brushed over grocery bags. Neighbors who smiled too long, then looked away. But there was still a closed door between them, and Nathan had built it out of all the things he had not said. Emma knew about the headlines. She knew Coldbridge was under investigation. She knew Nathan had stepped back from public view. What she did not know was how close his company had come to her own life. That changed on a Thursday afternoon. The email from the city arrived at the community library just after lunch. Emma read it once. Then again. Several after-school programs would be temporarily suspended pending review of data privacy practices connected to third-party educational technology vendors. Her stomach tightened before she reached the 3rd paragraph. Coldbridge was named. Not as the only company. Not even as the direct administrator in every case. But there it was. Coldbridge Platforms had processed family participation data through a partner program used by libraries and after-school centers across the borough. Emma sat very still at her desk, while children's voices rose from the reading room. Engagement risk. Attendance prediction. Family stability metrics. Phrases that sounded clean enough in a report and ugly enough when attached to children who needed a safe place until their parents got off work. That evening, Derek arrived late to pick up Lucas. Again. He appeared in the doorway just as Nathan was helping Lucas adjust a wire on Laundry Defender at Emma's kitchen table. Derek stopped. His eyes moved from Nathan to Emma to Lucas, then back to Nathan. The room chilled, Derek loved Lucas. Emma knew that. But love had never made him reliable. He came with apologies, good intentions, and a talent for making his failures sound like injuries done to him. "So this is the neighbor," Derek said. Lucas looked up. "Laundry guy fixed the robot." Derek smiled tightly. "Of course he did." Nathan stood, polite but cautious. Emma stepped between them before anyone could turn male insecurity into a weather event. Derek took Lucas out for pizza, but not before pulling Emma aside in the hallway. "Guys like him don't stay in lives like ours," he said. Emma hated that the sentence hurt. Not because Derek had the right to say it, because some small part of her feared he was right. Later, she confronted Nathan in the hallway. Not about Derek. About Coleridge. She showed him the email. Nathan's face changed. Not surprise. Recognition. That was worse. "You knew," she said. "I knew we had partner systems in public programs. I didn't know your library was connected. That's supposed to make me feel better." "No," he tried to explain. The data had been collected through partner agreements. The original goal had been to improve services, predict program drop-off, help cities allocate support. Coleridge had not directly sold personal identities. The words came out polished. Careful. Corporate. Emma hated every one of them. "You hear yourself?" she asked. Nathan stopped. "Did you ever sit with a mother who had nowhere for her kid to go after school before calling her life an engagement risk?" The question struck him silent. Emma's eyes burned, but she refused to cry in the hallway. "You weren't just hiding from a scandal," she said. "You were hiding from people your scandal reached." The next morning, the first reporter appeared outside the building. By noon, there were two. By evening, a photo spread online. Nathan holding Lucas's backpack, while Emma locked the front door. The headline was immediate and cruel. "Scandal CEO hides with single mom neighbor." Emma's phone exploded. Lucas's school called to ask whether there were safety concerns. The library received angry messages from parents, one accusing Emma of using Nathan to restore funding. Another asked if their children's information had been traded for some billionaire romance story. Emma sat in the staff bathroom, hands shaking, while outside the door someone knocked because a third grader had thrown up near the graphic novels. Her life did not pause for scandal. It only became harder. She went home that night through the back entrance. Nathan was waiting in the hallway, pale and quiet. "I'm sorry," he said. Emma laughed once, bitterly. "Don't." He flinched. She stepped closer. "You turned my life into somewhere your consequences could sleep." Nathan did not defend himself. That made her angrier for a moment, then sadder. "I didn't mean to pull you into this," he said. "But you did." "Yes." The admission hung there. Not enough. But honest. Emma opened her apartment door, then stopped. "I need you to leave us alone." Nathan looked toward the small kitchen where Lucas's robot sat on the table. "No contact with Lucas," she said. "No coming over. No helping. No standing in my doorway looking like guilt learned to wear sweaters." His mouth tightened, but he nodded. "Until I fix this without dragging you into it." Emma's voice softened only because she was exhausted. "Until you deal with your life outside mine." Then she shut the door. Nathan stood in the hallway for a long time. Apartment 4B waited behind him. For weeks, it had been his hiding place. That night, when he stepped inside and closed the door, it felt different. Not like shelter, like a room where consequences had finally found him. Priya's advice was clean, practical, and completely familiar. Release a short statement. Deny any romantic relationship with Emma Rivera. Move out of the Brooklyn apartment. Let the news cycle burn itself out. Do not give them emotion, Priya said over the phone. Emotion makes you look unstable. Investors hate unstable. Nathan stood in apartment 4B, looking at the suitcase he had almost used once before. For years, he had built a career on this exact instinct. Control the narrative, minimize damage, protect the company first. Only now he understood the problem. The company always came first because men like him had designed the room that way. Across the hall, Emma was living inside a story she had never agreed to tell. Lucas had been teased at school by children repeating words they did not understand. The library was close to losing more funding. Parents were scared. Derek had apologized, awkward and defensive, admitting he might have said too much online because he was angry. But he also looked Emma in the eye and said he was afraid their son would get hurt. For once, Emma believed him. Fear made people careless. So did power. That evening, Diane Mercer found Nathan in the lobby staring at the front door, where a reporter had taped a business card beside the buzzer. She pulled it down, tore it in half, and handed it to him. "This building is not a hotel for rich men learning humility," she said. Nathan looked at her. "If you want to stay," Diane continued, "you pay with the truth." The next night, Nathan went to the community library. Emma saw him from across the meeting room and immediately stiffened. The place was packed with parents, teachers, and tired children sitting on the floor with coloring books. People were angry. Their after-school program had been suspended. Their children's routines had been disrupted. Their data had been discussed by companies most of them had never heard of. Emma did not want Nathan there. She especially did not want him turning the meeting into a performance. So Nathan stayed in the back. He listened. A mother asked what she was supposed to do when her shift ended at 7. A grandfather asked why nobody had explained what data was being collected. A teenager asked if being poor meant companies got to study you without asking. Nathan did not speak until someone recognized him and demanded an answer. Then he stood. He did not mention Emma or Lucas. He did not say they had changed him. He did not turn their pain into his redemption. "Coalbridge failed you," he said. The room went quiet. "We built and expanded systems that processed family data without making consent clear enough. We used language that ordinary parents should never have needed a lawyer to understand. And even when we did not sell personal identities directly, we helped create a system where the lives of low-income families became strategic information." Emma watched him closely. No polished escape. No hiding behind partners. Just responsibility. 2 days later, Nathan stood outside Coalbridge headquarters in front of every camera he had been avoiding. Reporters shouted about the scandal. Then about Emma. Then about the mysterious single mother. Nathan refused every personal question. "This is not about my neighbor," he said. "This is not about her child. They are private citizens, and they deserve to remain private." He announced an independent audit, a temporary step back from his CEO role, a remediation fund for community programs affected by the suspension, a simple way for families to delete their data, and a new oversight board made up not only of executives, but parents, teachers, librarians, and privacy experts. A reporter pushed forward. "Are you doing this because of the single mom you were photographed with?" Nathan looked directly into the cameras. "No one should have to love me for my company to respect their privacy." The sentence spread faster than the scandal itself. By evening, Coalbridge's board was furious. Some wanted him removed permanently. Priya warned him he could lose the company his family had built. Nathan accepted the temporary suspension without fighting back through leaks, counterattacks, or carefully planted stories. For the first time, he did not try to win the room. He tried to tell the truth in it. Meanwhile, photographers still lingered outside Emma's building. Nathan did not rush over and pose as a romantic protector. Instead, he hired Privacy Council to send formal notices, redirected all press requests to Coalbridge, and made it publicly clear that any outlet harassing Emma or Lucas would lose access to future briefings. Emma noticed. She noticed because it was not cinematic. No standing in the rain. No dramatic speech under her window. Just the unglamorous work of keeping her name out of his story. Days later, Nathan found her in the small backyard behind the building, where weeds grew through cracked concrete and somebody had planted tomatoes in paint buckets. He kept several feet between them. You were right, he said. I don't get to hide in your life. Emma folded her arms. She was still angry, but anger had become less sharp around the edges. And I'm not asking to come back into it. That surprised her. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, not because the headlines got bad, because I made my silence expensive for you. Emma looked away toward the fire escape. You changed things, she said. Not enough. No, she agreed, but enough that it cost you something. He nodded. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Emma sighed. If you want to stay in this building, you learn to be a neighbor before you try being anything else. Nathan accepted the sentence like a verdict. I can start by not breaking the washing machine. Emma's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Ambitious, she said. Measured growth. Don't make laundry corporate. For the first time in days, Nathan laughed. And this time, Emma almost let herself laugh with him. A few months later, Nathan Cole was no longer running Colebridge. Not directly. The independent audit was still underway. The board had not forgiven him. Investors still used words like unstable and overcorrecting in private calls. Nathan had stopped trying to control what everyone called him. Instead, he spent his days in community meetings, privacy reviews, and long sessions with librarians, teachers, parents, and people who had never once been invited into the rooms where their lives became data. The after-school program at Emma's library reopened under stricter protections. Parents could opt out. Data policies were rewritten in language people could actually understand. It was not perfect, but it was less dishonest. Emma refused every interview. She was not the single mom who changed a CEO. She was a tired library manager with rent due, a son who needed new sneakers, and no interest in becoming a headline with better lighting. Nathan respected that. He never corrected reporters with her name. He never used her story. He learned that protecting someone sometimes meant letting the world forget they were connected to you. Lucas came around slowly. At first, he only nodded at Nathan in the hallway with the solemn disappointment of a tiny judge. Then he brought Laundry Defender for repair. Then a comic book. Then a laundry basket too heavy for one 7-year-old with dignity issues. Derek changed too. Not dramatically, but enough to matter. He started showing up on time more often. He stopped treating Nathan like a rich enemy and started treating him like a man who might disappoint Lucas if he was careless. One evening, Derek found Nathan by the mailboxes. If you promise my kid something, Derek said, keep it. Nathan nodded. I will. No, CEO answer. I'll keep it, Nathan said. Derek studied him, then gave a short nod. That was as close to peace as they were going to get. Emma and Nathan rebuilt from smaller things. Laundry room conversations. Stairwell jokes. Diner coffee. Library boxes carried without being asked. Nathan became strangely intense about washing clothes. He labeled everything. Cold wash only. Air dry. Do not mix reds with whites under any emotional circumstance. Emma caught him one night sorting socks like he was preparing a merger. You turned laundry into a startup, she said. It has scalable systems now. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. Then one evening, the building lost power. Everyone gathered in the hallway with flashlights, battery candles, snacks, complaints, and the kind of neighborly warmth that only appeared when the elevator stopped working. Diane handed out crackers like emergency rations. Lucas appointed Nathan chair of the emergency board game committee. Nathan accepted the title with concerning seriousness. Emma watched him sit on the hallway floor with her son, explaining Uno rules to 3 children and one confused retired man. No suit, no escape plan. Just Nathan, present in a dim hallway, letting ordinary life claim him. Later, when the lights came back, Nathan walked Emma to her door. He looked nervous, which she enjoyed more than she should have. Can I take you to dinner? He asked. Emma leaned against the doorframe. What kind of dinner? A real one. Not thank you dinner, Not apology dinner. Not scandal damage control. She raised an eyebrow. Just dinner, he said. If you call it a reputation recovery dinner, I'll lock you in the laundry room with the dryer. Dinner, he repeated. Emma smiled. A real smile. Okay. The next week, she found him in the basement laundry room helping a new tenant understand detergent measurements. Nathan stood beside the machine, serious as a surgeon. Never fill past this line, he said. The machine remembers disrespect. Emma stopped in the doorway. Lucas peeked around her and grinned. Laundry guy emeritus. Nathan looked over. For a moment, the old embarrassment flickered across his face. Then he laughed. Emma laughed too. And this time, nothing in her held back. Nathan looked at her then, no longer like a man hiding from cameras, but like someone who had finally found a place where responsibility did not feel like punishment. It felt like belonging. Their love had not begun with a scandal. It had begun in an old laundry room, with a white shirt turned pink and a man who did not know how much soap was too much. And it grew when Nathan learned that staying did not mean closing the door against the world. Staying meant opening it, telling the truth, washing what you had made dirty, and not leaving when the water started to rise. Before you go, let me ask you something. If you had been Emma, would you have opened the laundry room door that second time? After discovering who Nathan really was, after realizing that someone else's mistakes could spill into your life, would you have let him stay, or would you have walked away for good? Because maybe this story was never really about a washing machine, and it wasn't about a CEO either. It was about something much harder. The difference between leaving and staying. Many people know how to leave. They leave when things get uncomfortable. But staying means telling the truth when it costs you something. Staying means repairing the damage you helped create, even when nobody is forcing you to. Nathan didn't earn trust back with a speech. He earned it with small things. Showing up, being honest, keeping promises, coming back the next day. And maybe that's the lesson hidden inside this story. Real love isn't built on grand gestures. It's built on ordinary moments repeated often enough that someone finally believes you're not going anywhere. Now I'd love to hear your perspective. Do you think Emma was right to push Nathan away after the scandal reached her family? Or would you have given him a second chance sooner? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories about love, redemption, and the quiet moments that reveal who we truly are, don't forget to subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories. Until next time, take care of your heart. Remember, anyone can stay when life is easy. Character is revealed by who stays when leaving would be easier.